In the previous video we had just begun the discussion about embedded systems. Okay, so in this video we will consider embedded product. Okay, so we will talk about how to build your first embedded product. Build your first embedded product. Okay, so likewise, what would be an embedded product? Okay, your first embedded systems, I would say. Okay, let's make it a bit more subtle. Okay, so how to build your first embedded system? Okay, so for this matter, to start with, we'll be building a small experiment. Okay, so small, I could say a small project for that matter. Okay, so we will be using a distance sensor in this thing. Okay, something called as an ultrasonic sensor, and we will be building a blind man stick. Okay, okay, an automated blind man stick for the matter. Okay, so this is our first project that we'll be building. Okay, and for this project I would suggest you guys to we'll begin with the Arduino first. Okay, so we'll be creating a prototype basically. Okay, so for this project we'll be using a Arduino Uno for the matter. Okay, so first thing that you would require is an Arduino Uno. It's a prototype, so we are using a large size Arduino. In a real system where you have to actually fix this thing to a blind man stick, you won't be using an Arduino Uno, because the Arduino Uno is larger in size and you cannot actually fit it onto a stick or something. So you will go with the smaller versions of Arduino. Okay, like you can try Arduino Pro Mini or LilyPad or something likewise in the real production term. Okay, but for now we are just getting started, so we will be using an Arduino Uno. And second thing that you will require is HC05 ultrasonic sensor. Okay, ultrasonic sensors. So what basically an ultrasonic sensor does is it transmits a wave of sound, and based on the reflection it measures the distance. Okay, so basically it's a sonar technique that is used here, and apart from that we will be using a buzzer. Okay, so this is a very primitive application that you can build. Okay, for beginners only. Okay, so we will be building a blind man stick. Okay, so in this video I'll be just talking about the mechanism that is to be built. In the next video we will see how to actually code this thing and burn this thing into a microcontroller. Okay, so let's begin with it. Okay, so first things first, whenever you are building a microcontroller based product or embedded system, anything likewise, first thing you should know is the pinouts of the microcontroller. Okay, and what kind of data can be sent or received through those pins. Okay, whether you can send analog data, whether you can send digital data, and in which form. Okay, so we will brush up just the basics, okay, of Arduino here. Okay, so Arduino in this case offers different types of pins. Okay, means they are multiplex at times. Okay, so the first type of pins are plain digital pins. Okay, or we call it digital pins. Okay, then there are analog pins, and thirdly there are PWM pins. So one thing that is to be remembered here is they are digital pins only, right? Just they perform the PWM function, pulse width modulation function. Okay, so here in PWM you can give a signal in a range. Okay, likewise you can say the range is 0 to 255. Okay, so this is basically this technique, PWM thing, is used for controlling motors, or you can say that lights dimming and stuff you do na, you can use for that also. Okay, so this is the place where PWM is used. Okay, for bringing the variation in the analog entity, you can say, oh sorry, the digital signal here. So basically it is a blend of the two techniques. Okay, we won't get into the details of PWM as of now, so as to avoid getting into analog electronics as such. Okay, and it is also a complex part, so we won't let our discussion flow into that side. Okay, so these are the basic things that you should know. There are three types of pins here. Okay, first is the digital pin, then there's the analog pin and the PWM pins. So here in our case we only require the digital pins. Okay, we won't require the analog pins here, so we won't consider as of now for any other kinds of pin. Okay, so now the SR05 thing, or this sensor, has got two major pins. Okay, the first pin is the echo pin. Oh sorry, just a minute, I'm not actually used to writing on this thing, but I will practice. Okay, sorry, echo and the trig pin. So these are the two pins, the echo and the trigger pin. So whenever a sound signal is to be passed, the trigger pin is set high. Okay, set high means the input is turned to 1. Okay, and sound waves travel through this thing. Okay, and whenever they detect an obstacle, okay, this is a flower vase or something. Okay, yeah, my drawing sucks, I know that. Okay, and there will be a reflection of waves. Okay, so like this is not actually how it works, means the representation I am talking about. Okay, yeah, my drawing sucks, that's the reason. Okay, so now this will receive those signals, echo, and this is again connected to Arduino. Okay, so here in this case this is the output pin for the Arduino. Okay, the data is being sent from the Arduino, so this is considered as output pin, and this is considered as an input pin. The data is being collected into the Arduino. Okay, the data is received. So when we get the data, okay, now we have got the data, echo and trig. Okay, remember these two pins, echo and trig pins. This is an output pin and this is an input pin. So in Arduino there is something called as a pin mode function. Okay, which allows us to set the pin mode, whether the pin should be input or output. Okay, so this is the very basic thing about Arduino or any kind of microcontroller which you should remember. Okay, whether the pin is doing an input or an output. Okay, so that is very important. So this is it about this thing. And second thing is the buzzer thing. Okay, let's clear it for now. Okay, we'll talk about the buzzer now. So this was about the buzzer. Okay, so a buzzer is a device, as you all know, it will give a buzzing sound when current is given to it. So buzzer is very easy to build. Okay, or easy to connect, I would say. So it has only two pins, VCC and ground. So those who are not familiar with the VCC and ground terms, okay, for layman terms you can say the positive side of the battery is called VCC and a negative side of battery will be called as ground. Okay, so whenever you connect your voltage source, or you can say a battery you have connected, okay, so any kind of battery, so the positive part will be the VCC and negative part will be the ground. Okay, this is actually a layman definition, but just for the sake of understanding I am telling you. Okay, so this is the buzzer. So whenever you give it, you can connect any kind of battery to this thing. This is actually stable up to 24 volts. Okay, 24 to 36 volts mostly. That is the maximum maximum voltage you can give to this thing, to this buzzer. Okay, mostly you can give any voltage you want. It will sound louder as the voltage increases or decreases. Okay, so we will be connecting it to the 5 volt output from the Arduino. Okay, so we will be connecting this VCC part to a pin, okay, Okay, so this was actually buzzer directly connected to the battery, but in our case we will connecting it to the Arduino. Okay, so we will require yet another pin for this buzzer. Okay, so now I will draw the diagram. Okay, so here let us consider this as an Arduino. Okay, so these are the digital pins. Okay, this side is the digital pins, and the the right side is the digital side. Okay, and the left side has the analog pins. Okay, so here at our digital side, this side, I will require 3 pins. Okay, so one is for the echo. Let us assume 4, 5 and 6. I have used these 3 pins. 4 is for echo, 5 is for trig, and this 6th pin I will be using for the buzzer's VCC. Okay, so I'll write here buzzer VCC. Okay, and remember, all electronic devices that you are going to connect, any kind of sensor or anything, will have 2 pins always. Okay, there is the VCC and the ground. So even our ultrasonic sensor has a VCC and ground. So for this purpose we will connect the VCC of this thing to a VCC on the Arduino board. Okay, your Arduino board also has a VCC given outlet. Okay, we will connect to this thing, or you can connect to the 5 volt pin of Arduino as well. There will be a marking given here on the right side for 5 volt, and the ground to the ground. On the Arduino we have 2 grounds on this side, on the right side, left side, and the right side you have 1 ground. Okay, so we have connected to this ultrasonic sensor here. Okay, so this is our ultrasonic sensor and this is our buzzer. Okay, for buzzer ground also we will connect it to this place. Okay, so our circuit is complete now. Okay, so after this thing, this is our basic construction of the circuit. In the next video we will see how actually we will program this thing. Okay, so this was very crude explanation of this thing, but I will try to improve it and make it easy so that most of the people out there will get what I am trying to say. Okay, thank you.